Hello and welcome to the class 3 of our series on creating short map animations in Geolayers 3. In today's class, we will be looking at how camera movements work in Geolayers. To show you that, let's go to my computer screen. We will start by creating a mapcomp. Let's name it as cam movement. And I will find with the desktop version of resolution, and frame rate will be 30 and duration will be around 10 seconds will be enough, I think. World imagery. So to start with, I think the main thing to learn from this is that we have 5 properties that we mostly work in creating the camera movements in Geolayers 3 or the camera animations in Geolayers 3. So if I go to effects control, I have these 5 movements: the latitude, longitude, zoom, bearing, and the pitch. So bearing is like rotation. The map will rotate like that. And the pitch is sort of, in simple words, what in common language we call tilt. So pitch works like this. And zoom is, to zoom for an animation, you will have to go with your cursor to the Geolayers interface, like I'm here, and then scroll in for zoom and scroll out for zoom out. And I am clicking right and dragging the map view for this tilt. Similarly, if you want to go to a place, you simply left click and drag the cursor. With the right click, you will have control of the tilt, and with the left click, you will have a control of the positioning of your map. So if I scroll in, I'm into the map. The main controls are for the animations are latitude, longitude, and zoom. The bearing and pitch we can sort of get away with by doing some expression work, as I have shown in one of my videos. I will talk about it later in the video. So let's reset this one for now. By the way, I have pressed this keyframe icon here to get animation on the all of the keyframes. So what I will do is that I will just make this bearing and pitch 0 for now, and let's bring up a country. For example, I will go to Iran. If you double click a map feature in the Geolayers interface, you will have all the details of that particular area. For example, I have double clicked the Iran area and I have this, and by clicking this download icon, I can add it to my Geolayers panel. And if I double click it again and click this pen icon, I can draw this map feature directly on my composition. And this one adds a label of Iran to it with a simple animation like that. So, and the rectangle, what the rectangle does is that, for example, I have this for example, I have been zoomed out of the particular country that I am working on. I can press this fit view that will fit the current view to my feature country. For example, we have been away from our map like that, and I can click this rectangle icon and then click fit view to feature. That will bring the country back. So what Geolayers does is that it provides us with some features to automate the animation of camera process. So let's have a look at some of these features. Let's zoom out a bit and let's change the color to red. So let's say I want to create a simple animation of zoom into Iran from this broad bird eye view angle to a simple country of Iran. What I can do There are two ways to do it. First, I can manually do it. For example, I right now I have, let's delete these keyframes. What you can do is that just add keyframes on all of these from this point on, or simply just delete them or add this one. That would also add keyframes to your properties like all of these. And let's have a simple animation from this bird eye view to simple country of Iran. What I can do is that I can click this plus icon and click this world view to, let's say, max let's rename it as bird eye view. And now I have this particular feature with all of these properties or values of zoom, longitude, latitude, as you can see here, saved for now for this project, but these will be deleted if I haven't saved them in my favorite features the moment I close After Effects. So you have to save these in your favorite features if you want to look at them or use them again in your project, like I do with all of my features that I regularly use in my project, like the United Kingdom details. For now, I won't be saving them in my favorite features folder. So now we are going to be animating to Iran. So we will be clicking the Iran feature and then going to this fit view to feature, and that will bring us to Iran. So as there was no change in picture bearing, so those two keyframes haven't been animated. We have animation on over first three properties like longitude, latitude, zone. So as you can see, we have this simple map animation. Next way to do this same map animation but a lot faster is to go to this rectangular icon and first select this Iran, the country where you want the camera to zoom into, and then go to here. And in Geolayers we call these countries that I have selected at this point like Iran features. So right now it says that animate view along feature, animate view to feature. So we want the animation to be two features from this point. So we will be clicking this, and next if it will ask how long the animation you want to be. First we manually created it for 2 seconds, so I will just create it for 2 seconds again. So you can create the animation and this will just simply do the simple animation quickly. This is how you can automate your animations. Let's look at a case where we might practically use this feature. For example, we are trying to highlight three top countries of conflicts in 2026: Ukraine, South Sudan, and Iran. And we want to organize them in the same order as the conflict started. So, for example, we start with the Ukraine, the oldest conflict of after 2020, and then we come to South Sudan, the second one, and the third one then Iran. What we want is that first the camera to go from this bird eye view to Ukraine, then come to South Sudan, and then come to Iran in the last animation. So let's quickly just bring up the features, draw the features of both of these three countries. And let's also bring up the features in the Geolayers panel. We want to start by focusing on Ukraine, then South Sudan, and then Iran. So we will select them in the same order. To animate them, we need to make sure that the features are in the same order as we want them to be animated. So first I want the video to start from this bird eye view, then I want it to go to Ukraine, and then I want it to go to South Sudan, and then I want it to eventually end with the Iran. So you have to select all of these and then go here and click this animate view between features option and then create the animation for the duration you want it to be. I want it to for like 4 seconds, but it has created like 10 seconds. So let's see what it has gotten us. It zooms into Ukraine, then South Sudan, and then we have this Iran animation, which is a very short one. So let's select all of these keyframes. Let's alt press and drag all of these keyframes to about 4 seconds. So I want the animation to finish up by 4 seconds. So this is how this animation basically works. So far I haven't used this feature much, and I'm trying to use it more in my projects, but I haven't used I like more control over my animations, so I like doing my animations manually rather than using this feature. So next I want to talk about attaching objects to your mapcom. Let's try to attach a text. So let's write Iran. Right now I have written Iran, but as you can see, it is not reacting to the camera. If I move my camera, let's, it just doesn't react to the camera. For the text to react to your camera, you have to attach it to the point where you want the text to stay. So there are two methods to attach this text to your mapcom. First, select the text and press this pin icon that will pin the text to your map, but it is still not reacting properly even if you convert it into a 3D, and it is attached, but it is not like the one we see in many of the short map animations. So that kind of attachment comes with parenting feature. For that, I will just write the text and parent it to the mapcomp anchor like that. Now if you zoom in or zoom out, it will be glued to the mapcomp at the certain point or area where you have attached the text, or the moment where you have parented the text to the mapcomp. That's the first thing that you need to remember, that you have to parent your particular text or an object to the mapcomp at that point where you want it to be. Second thing that I like to apply when I'm adding an object icon or this text, or parenting or attaching it with my mapcom, is that I like to bring this bearing and pitch to 0 for that particular attachment process, and then just delete the keyframes. For example, let's say that I have some tilt applied to it, and I want the text to have this kind of tilt with the Iran. I can't have it when the tilt is already applied and then I am attaching the Iran text. So for that, what I have to do is that first remove the pitch and bearing for that particular moment. For example, I will just decrease the pitch and bearing to 0 like that, and then attach the text parented to the mapcomp anchor, and then delete the anchors. It's still not working because the text is not converted into 3D. If I convert it into 3D, now our text attachment has finally been processed, and we can have our text attached, and it will rotate, tilt, zoom in and out, and all the features of the camera movement mapcom will be applied to the text the same, like that. So let's again decrease the pitch and bearing to 0 and try to apply the same attachment process to an object. So let's say I want to attach this GIF to the mapcom. So for that, first I will convert it into 3D and then attach to the mapcom anchor. So that way it will react to the camera. So this is the basic intro of the camera properties of Geolayers 3. Next we will be looking at how you can make these animations smooth in Geolayers 3 using speed graph and some settings of the speed graph. For example, I have this animation of a simple zoom in into the country of Turkey, and right now at this exact 3 seconds mark the movement gets a bit jittery or the zoom gets a bit jittery. What you have to do is that select the keyframe, that the particular movement that you are trying to make more smooth, and go to this graph setting and push these nodes up to make sure that the movement never gets to the point of zero during the whole animation. So what this does is that it makes sure that the movement never gets to zero and the whole animation never comes to a halt to make a continuous smooth animation. You can do the similar thing with the pitch too. Right now it gets to a point of zero. You can just bring these nodes up and make sure the animation never gets to zero to make your animation smooth if you feel like that they are kind of rough. Another example of smoothing of keyframes comes in this scene. So right now I have this animation of tracing the path of the boat on camera, and only the latitude and longitude has been animated, or whose values has been changed. The longitude and latitude animations looks kind of rough. Camera stops for a bit at these keyframes and then it starts moving again due to the easy ease. So to make the whole animation smooth, what I'm going to do is that play with the keyframes. First I'm going to select a property that I'm going to make more smooth, whose nodes I'm going to make more smooth, or whose speed I'm going to make more smooth, and select the keyframes, go here, and as we can see we have these set of nodes on the zero value. To make the motion more smooth, what we need to do is try to make sure that the speed never hits zero at any moment during the animation. For that, what you can do is that drag these nodes down from the 0 point like this. So this works for our latitude, and then I will do the same thing to the longitude. Again you can see that we have this motion stops at 0 when the keyframe or a particular animation ends. What we need to do is that make sure it never hits 0. So as you can see, the animation is much smoother now rather than before. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Next I want to talk about this link mapcomp view feature. So what this does is that right now if you are into an animation or working on a project and drag this interface left to right, it's gonna apply some keyframes to the properties of this mapcomp view. But if you unlink this mapcomp view feature, you can simply go and search or set up your next scene or figure out a country. Next, I want to talk about some of the automations that might save you a lot of time in some of the short dynamic animations that you make, like we see in Cognize videos, is to just make the bearing and pitch automated with these expressions. Particularly the most useful is the one loop out ping pong expression. So how this works is you decide at the start of your project how much pitch or bearing your map is gonna have, or this particularly works well when you are working with a single country. For example, right now I'm working with simply UK. I'm telling about the rain in UK, so I'm using this loop out expression on pitch and bearing. When you're working with a single country, it's gets kind of dull just zooming in and zoom out, so pitch and bearing works well for them. But to do manually can take a lot of mental load. You have to make a lot of decisions that we talk about in the first video. So what you can do is that make the pitch and bearing automated with this technique, the loop out expression. So what how this works is that you just decide at the start how much pitch and bearing looks good on your map. For example, I decided that a pitch from of 4 looks good. I'm fine with that. That doesn't look unusual or weird or overdone. So I went with a pitch of 4. So how this expression works is that you apply a simple start and end keyframe. The pitch goes from 0 to 4, and since it's a ping pong expression, so the animation starts again from 0 to 4 and 4 to 0, again from 0 to 4. So it's kind of ping pong animation. Similarly, you can also apply the same expression on bearing the rotation, uh, but again you have to decide first that how much bearing your map is gonna have. For example, I have this UK map, and so to discover that how much bearing your map should have before it starts looking weird is that you just go here and apply some random keyframe like I have applied. So this looks weird. I think I can work with one value. I got around 23, and let's delete these keyframes. And what is the next value for the left side? What is the value for the left side of the rotation? I think a value of 0 will work for us. So this is how you find out the values for your loop out expression on the start and end animation for pitch and bearing. So I went to start, and for this for particular animation, the start of animation, the bearing was 11, and at the end it went to 21 and then again to 11. I was at the start, so I went with cycle expression. So I have applied both the expression, and you have to apply them in the same format that I have applied here. If you want to use cycle expression, then you have to first copy the very start keyframe and apply it again after the same interval. For example, it goes from 11 to 21 after 3 seconds, then again after 3 seconds it comes down to 11, and then again for next 6 seconds it repeats the same animation in the cycle expression. This is a bit complicated. You can also apply the loop out ping pong expression. It's a lot simpler than that. It's just two keyframes, start and end keyframe. You have to just decide them at the start, and then after you have finished up with your work, for example I have finished up here, then you can just delete whatever the bearing and pitch has been applied, and yeah, just go to the start and apply these keyframes, and you will have your animation. Again, this works best for single country maps. So this is the setup of mapcomp view that I recommend when you're working with a single country. For example, right now I am working with UK. You should have your bearing and pitch automated, and just do them at the end, delete all of their keyframes, and then again apply them with our regular pre-decided rotation and pitch, so that you can have more control on your pitch and bearing and they don't look weird throughout the animation, and you save time. I recommend this setup of mapcomp view when you're working with two countries that are neighbors, for example Pakistan, India, UK and Ireland. Next, if you are working with two countries or more than two countries that are neighbors but a bit far apart, like we have neighbors of Iran, and we are trying to make an animation of the countries that Iran has bombed, what we can do is that download these map features into the Geolayers map comp, and then just select all of them and draw these features it will draw them in a singular shape if you select all of them and draw them. We don't want that. We want them to be separately drawn, so I will just draw them one by one. Let's quickly apply a fade in animation on them, and let's try to animate them. First there will be Iran, then UAE, and then Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi, and Oman. So what we can do is that go here and click this animate view between features, and make sure the animation is suitable. I will go with 6 seconds. So I don't know, it went past the 6 seconds, so yeah, let's see. Let's repair the expressions. If you see something like this, go to the mapcomp settings, repair first the expressions, and then purge the image cache and apply it, and then you will have your map again. I think this has just simply zoomed in on all of them at once, but we don't want that. So let's remove the keyframes and let's start one by one. First, we want Iran to animate between Oman and Iran. So we will go select Iran and fit the mapcom view to feature. Then select Oman and go with animate view between features. Let's make the animation 2 seconds. And we only want to have Oman at this point. From Oman we want to go to Kuwait, so we will select Oman and then Kuwait, and then apply this. First I have to go to the starting point of the animation, from where I want the animation to start. I want it to start from this point on at the 2 seconds mark, so I will go to there and then apply this animate view to feature, and the feature is only Kuwait. So I will just add a 2 seconds animation. So let's bring the Kuwait map feature. Yeah, let's bring our timeline at this point. So this is how the animation looks when animated using the mapcom view features. Next, for example, I want the camera to focus on United Arab Emirates, so I will select Arab Emirates and click here and go to animate view to feature, and just the same 2 seconds animation. So now we have this kind of animation. Let's bring the UAE map feature. This would have taken us some time doing manually, but if you're looking to create something like this, you can always use this animate view to feature or animate between the features like we have done recently. Next skill that you should develop in these camera movements is working with multiple countries. You should have a setup of mapcom view like this. So this is a video that I recreated from a creator Histromix, because creating these kind of videos I think really polish your camera movement skills and also gives you that skill to work with multiple countries at the same project. So this is the mapcom view setup that I recommend when you are working with multiple countries. For example, here we have the strongest countries in the world, and there are about 15 countries that I had to represent in 36 seconds. And at the end of it, I had to loop in the first second for the last. So what I did was that I did all the countries that I could do on a single map that were near to each other and were very far away when the transition was gonna happen. The longitude, latitude, and zoom animations to them during the transition just syncs with the music, so there wasn't very problem with them. But once we started jumping between countries, for example, from UK to Japan, and then to France, and then to South Korea, and then to India, and then to China, so there wasn't very much room in the same map comp, if you get what I mean. So I did about 9 countries on the same map, and for the next countries, I created another map comp for single map comp for each of them, like we have here. But these are not complete. I have created for UK, and as you can see, all of these are map comps for each of the countries, the 7 or 8 countries. So we, with the last one with mapcom, we go to Russia, and then we again come back to the first one for the loop to be completed. So after Russia, I again start. So before the Russia ends, I bring the mapcom from UK where it ended to the location of USA behind this Russia mapcom. And once it reaches, once the time comes for the reveal of the last country, we are already in USA, like that. And for the ending of it, I just applied some of the starting elements. So if you are looking into how I created this whole map animation, I have uploaded a workflow related to this of about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and in which I recorded the whole process of creating this. And if you are my Patreon member, I have also uploaded a source file that contains all the assets and the source file for this project. If you really want to master these camera movements, I would recommend you to create something like this, and it's really fun. And yeah, you can follow my workflow tutorial to recreate this, or you can create one of your own idea. So yeah, this is it for today. Thank you for watching. If you're looking to support the channel directly, you can support me on Patreon, and no pressure obviously. I would recommend you to practice the working with multiple countries kind of short animation. And in the next class, we will be looking at typography and different kinds of typing animations, or in general how you can do typography in short map animations. And we will be looking at a bunch of styles of text animations. So yeah, I will see you there, and like, thanks again, and bye.